Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another iStorage podcast. I'm here joined with Bavash Moda and Mr. Marcus Heap. This is our third podcast so far. If you want to learn more about these two gentlemen speaking to you today, please check out our two previous podcasts where we discuss what we do, basically. In today's episode, we're going to speak about our experience in Infosec. We're going to speak about the ability to collaborate safely in a time of digital threat and uncertainty. It's quite an unprecedented time. And yes, and then we're going to discuss a few recent news articles and news outlets that were very interesting to our industry. Welcome, gentlemen. How are we doing?
All good.
Happy days.
Thank you, Sammy.
Happy days. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I like to start it like that just to make it a bit official, but it is a relaxed conversation here. That's what we love to do here in iStorage. It's literally what goes on in our day-to-day. We're in the cybersecurity sector, so anything data and data protection is what we do. So let's start from Infosec. We had quite a great experience, don't you think? I mean, listen, there was a strike during our time where we exhibited in the event, but nonetheless, it was somewhat positive to us. From the marketing perspective, you know, we had people coming to us saying how great our stand was.
Definitely.
How, you know, straight to the point, not very cluttered. You know, when you passed by, you knew exactly what we did. PIN encrypted, PIN authenticated, you know, hardware encrypted, hardware solutions for everyone, you know, whether you want to collaborate, whether you want to transfer data, move data around. So from the marketing point of view, it was very positive. And me as one of the marketing team, it was very interesting to speak to the different people there. I kind of became a bit of a salesperson. But well, the way I like to say it is that I was doing presentations about our products because many people in our sector, they kind of know a little bit. They have an idea of what we do. They've heard about iStorage. But for the rest, for the visitors, it was really satisfying to tell them what our devices can do, and especially when it comes to the CloudAshur, and especially when it comes to the DataShur BT, you know, the ability to collaborate, the ability to manage. It was very interesting. So I'm gonna pass the platform or the word to you, the microphone to you. And how did you find the
Infosec was really interesting. So it was nice to be back at an exhibition again after like so long. 2 years, was it? Something like that?
Yes.
And to see customers that recognized you from turning up from 2017, 2018, 2019. And the vibe was good. Again, as you mentioned, that the stand looked amazing. Yep, it drew people into us.
Absolutely.
And I feel with exhibitions that they will keep carrying on.
Yeah.
And it's getting that brand message out there to existing customers, new customers as well. And it felt like a good show. It
did, absolutely. What about from your side, Marcus?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, as Bav said, you know, it feels a bit like it's a new thing. You know, you're back. You know, the halls. You know, the whole concept of an exhibition, which for 2 years has pretty much disappeared. So it was great to be back. Great to be back at the XL.
Yeah.
I mean, I think overall people were saying to me the numbers were down.
Yeah.
But that's to be expected. I think that's across the board.
Yeah.
I don't think any exhibition has come back quite at the level that it was pre the pandemic.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, the strikes didn't help. But again, I think all that does, you know, I was there, Bav was there. There were plenty of people there. I think that, you know, if you wanted to be there, you were there.
Yeah,
so all that does is basically ensures that the people who are there are people that are genuinely interested in what's going on, and that's my experience of, you know, what I saw. That the people that were there were there for good reasons.
Yeah. And we were all having fun, to be honest with you. One as exhibitors, right? So we had many different people who were exhibiting there, and just the conversation between the stands were very positive, very supportive of each other. So that was one positive aspect of it. We had some competitions, so we're announcing the winners this week, as you can see. You can check out our social media for that. And it was quite a positive experience. Again, yes, the numbers were down significantly, may I add, because of, like you said, coming back from the pandemic and the strike. Nonetheless, we had some interesting data. And that's, for me, is very important to see what the end user is thinking about. What are the things that they're not aware that we do, but we do them, right? So for me, like I said, when I was explaining some of the solutions that we do, and people were like at awe. I was like, I don't believe you. I was like, listen, we do free evaluation, you know? Come speak to, for example, Melanie was there. Shout out to Melanie. She was there. I would send her someone. Said, this guy does not believe that we do this, you know, especially when it comes to the remote management.
Yep.
So it's very interesting. Did you guys have any interesting conversation with a visitor or an exhibitor? For me, one of the most interesting conversations I had, and Marcus, you can touch on this, is that someone from the NHS told me that they're telling them you cannot use USBs that are not encrypted anymore.
Yeah.
Like the PCs do not read USB flash drives or hard drives that are not encrypted.
Yeah.
That was very interesting for me. That is a new thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it was interesting at the show when you walked around there. You know, let's be honest, it's primarily software.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you notice that?
It's cloud.
All software.
It's cloud and it's software. Yeah. And in a way, we stand out, which I thought was good because you walk around and see a lot of similar type stuff. 100%. You know, lots of businesses that are doing, you know, cloud, big high level solutions around cybersecurity. Yet you look at what we do, and we fit into that kind of niche. You know, we have a part to play in an overall strategy around cybersecurity.
Absolutely.
And I think that was great because it you know, you look at what we had on the stand, and it's hardware, and there isn't a lot of hardware. So you know, that helped us, I think, in terms of, you know, it immediately prompts a discussion around, okay, what are you doing? You know, how does this fit? And I think people get it very quickly. Yeah, but
especially that you can come around, you can see it, you can play around with it. That was very interesting. So people knew exactly what we did, what we do, and it's very simple to explain because the solution is simple. It's just the best is the best in the world.
But again, you're into that. Where does it fit? You know, going back to the NHS stuff. You know, we know that not everybody is going to be allowed or want to have an external storage device. Yeah. You know, for some organisations, guess what? Everything's on the cloud. You know, they don't allow. They block ports, USB. You know, they don't want hardware technology. Yeah. But there's a lot of people that do. Yeah. And you know, there's a lot of people that are using unencrypted open devices. I mean, we'll talk a bit about, you know, recent stuff that's gone on. Yeah. But interestingly now that businesses who are looking in that kind of hybrid model who acknowledge that, guess what, there is a place for external. You know, you can't deny there are people out there who are using flash drives. Yeah. There are people who are using hard drives. Yeah. Well, if there are, then put in place protocols that only allow encrypted devices. You know, it's an interesting kind of halfway house, isn't it? Right. It acknowledges the reality, which is that people are out there wanting to transfer and store data, but on the other hand, you want to make sure that when they do that, it's done on the right type of device.
Absolutely.
But then I think, again, it's an education piece because do you think the NHS will be aware that, let's say if they buy iStorage products, they can whitelist them onto their network? So that means only an iStorage device that is authenticated that would work on their network when it's been plugged into a laptop or PC or any other machine.
Right.
Yeah.
So you know that. Yeah.
So, and if they put another, let's say, encrypted device or non-encrypted device onto the network or plug it in, it won't even recognise or work on the network.
Yeah.
I mean, I had somebody who contacted us from the US just this week from a university, right? And they asked a long set of questions about how can your technology help us become more compliant around some of the legislation that we have to follow to make sure that we're looking after data, and they were asking a lot of questions, and whitelisting was one of those things they wanted to know. Can we make sure that we mandate into our university, and this was research, and these guys were in a research university in America, right? And I helped them I explained that to them, the fact that you can mandate our drives, and that was fantastic. They were really pleased about that. It was like, you know, they hadn't thought about how that solution might work. And there probably are a lot of people out there that don't know that, perhaps don't realise.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So
I have a hard question, right? So as you mentioned, right, when we went to the exhibition, well, 95% was all, software.
Yeah.
We covered in the last podcast about the difference between a hardware solution and software solution. Hardware encryption and software encryption. We know that hardware encryption much more powerful. Yeah. Everyone, Google it now, you'll find out why. Very simple. Why don't the world apply that? Why are we still pushing for software encryption rather than hardware encryption?
Who knows? I mean, it might well be. There are certain manufacturers, of course, that only push software.
Is it great marketing? You think?
Solution? Yeah, it might well be. Cost. The software solution is not as effective. Yeah. It's not as robust. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have the same level of accreditation, but it's a cheaper option. The idea that you can tap in passwords on a through your keyboard rather than doing it on the device, possibly.
Yeah.
But
I think it's strange, isn't it? It's strange when you think about it, because we're giving you a better solution, a much more robust solution, better, with as simple as better solution, but you still got. We spoke to Bavash. We spoke last week about the fact that people are calling you for unencrypted, non-encrypted. Yep. So just so they can put their software on top of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And why would you ask for that? We're giving you the best solution, highest level of accreditations. Maybe you can speak about that, Marcus.
Yeah, I mean, I think we touched on the last podcast that one of the things that I think reinforces our position in the market is obviously accreditations are rising. They're getting more stringent, and there's ever increasing. Yeah. An example of that is FIPS,
right?
The federal standard in the United States. That's now moving to the 140-3 level 3 standard. Right. It's at the moment the standard is 140-2.
Right.
iStorage are the only company in our industry that have a product in that process.
Right.
That's going through the accreditation process. And again, this isn't a 2-week, send it in and we play around with them and we give you an endorsement. Yeah. No, they take these things apart. They literally go to enormous lengths to make sure that your product meets the standard.
Yeah.
So it's not a cheap process, and it's not a short process. And we are the only manufacturer in the world in our space that is having a product right now accredited to that level. So we will be the first in our industry.
Right.
And other companies that are going through that process, it's by NIST, which is the National Testing Organization in the United States. Yeah. They accredit, and as you can imagine, very high level, very professional. Yeah. Other companies that are getting products put through there right now are people like Apple and Dell and Samsung. Yeah. These are AMD. Big players in our industry. So I think, again, that's a reflection of, the seriousness that we put behind accreditation and also where we sit in this market.
Absolutely. Bavash, in the UK, do they care about FIPS, or is there another?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Definitely. So you've got, let's say, your police forces, your government organisations, they are requesting FIPS accreditation.
Right. So that's it's a world standard.
It's a world standard.
Yeah.
That is coming into play now.
Yeah.
So with iStorage having FIPS, NATO, CPA accreditations, that should put us forward again when they're looking for an encrypted drive or an encrypted solution, and they need to comply to FIPS standard.
Yeah. Well, and again, that talks to the whole thing about software.
Yeah.
In order to get a FIPS accreditation, a lot of that is also about how the internal encryption microprocessors are protected.
Right.
What are you doing to make sure that these things can't be taken apart and people can't actually dismantle? I mean, we've seen recently with tests that are done on some other products that are out there. You can take them apart and you can take the components and you can access them. You can actually start reading what's actually on these devices. That isn't going to happen if you've got a device that is FIPS
accredited,
140-2 and now 140-3 level 3 accredited. It's impossible to do because by taking the drive apart, you damage the microprocessor and actually it's unusable. But we've seen some research, and there are lots of people out there who love to try and crack these devices, right? Clever people who want to prove, hey, guess what? I found what was on this drive. And you got to be very careful. So I think a hardware encrypted rather than software is giving you that extra level. That it's
this is go on, Bash.
I've got an interesting story from Infosec as well. Do you remember the guy that came along and he said, I tried to hack into your drive?
Yeah.
So
I love that. I don't know what did he say.
Okay, so it was and I can't mention the end user obviously, but
fine.
Israel. It was an organisation in Israel that wanted to buy iStorage drives. But before they purchased them, they handed it to this guy and said, you need to hack into this drive. If you can hack into it, there's no way that we will buy iStorage products. He said he tried to brute force it. He tried to use robotics on our drive.
Wow.
So let's say have the drive on the table, a robot punching in number after number after number.
Wow.
To try and break the algorithm. And he said, I'm really sorry, I was unsuccessful. So,
if that's not, if that's not a proof for the highest level of security, I don't know what is. So this guy's an Israeli engineer, cybersecurity
engineer.
Tried to get in there but couldn't. You know what? I would actually
love to meet you.
Yeah, exactly. I would love to get him on this podcast and speak to him and tell us exactly what he's done. We'll probably get in touch with him. Well, let's speak after this. Give me his name and we'll see what we can do.
But, I mean, we've seen that though, haven't we? Repeatedly, I think during the history of iStorage as a business, that we've consistently had those types of reviews where people have said, you know what, we've tried to crack this, we've tried to break into it, and we can't. That's not the case with some other there are reviews out there where people have been able to actually get to data, and when they've actually gone and done the analysis, it doesn't stand up to scrutiny. They can find data because there are backdoor flaws in the encryption or the modules, the microprocessors are not properly protected, and it's for an end user. You're very, you got to trust, haven't you? You pay a certain amount for a product, and you're told it's encrypted and it's accredited. Well, I think anyone that's doing this properly and are serious about it, you're going to make sure that you're buying from a reputable business, and that's what I've always said about iStorage. This is what we do. We're not. This isn't a line. This isn't a product line of our range. This is what we do.
Right.
And I think that's really important. This is what, the people back at HQ who are working on these products and are developing these products and are making sure these are fully accredited and are manufactured to the right levels. That's all they do. It's not a side arm. It's not an add-on to what we do. And I think that's really important. You've got to trust.
Not to give too much, but I walked by one of our guys in the HQ, people who are responsible for making sure that our products are number one in the world. And all I can see was about 4 or 5 PhD papers being read at the same time, trying to, get more and innovate more and make sure that we are keeping up with the times. So it is definitely a place that you can trust, iStorage. Like you said, this is all we do. It's not a line.
If you go back to the FIPS 140-3 standard, you're not going to put a product through that process. It's an expensive process. It is not. We're talking tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars. This isn't a $5,000 and you're done. This is a significant investment. You're not going to do that if you think your product's going to come back and they're going to go, hang on, send it back and make it work and send it through again. You're going to make sure that it's robust and it's up to the standard. So you can't do that if this isn't something that is front of mind of what you do.
Back to Infosec again. A lot of people were very pleased and almost in disbelief at what some of our solutions can do, namely our CloudAshur and our DataShur BT, which are mainly for collaboration, remote management. So, which one came first, the BT or the CloudAshur?
BT.
All right. So how does it work, Marcus? How does the BT, solve a lot of collaboration solutions today?
Yeah, I mean the BT product, which is interesting, it stands out a little bit in our range. It's the only one of our devices that doesn't have a physical pin pad, a personal identification number keypad on the device. So that it's built to the same standard. It's got the FIPS accreditation and all the things that we talked about. The hardware encryption is on the device, but what this allows you is through an app or through a connection to your laptop through Bluetooth, you can access the device remotely.
Right.
But there are additional things that the product will do. Of course, by the fact that you've got an app, you can then also access through the internet into remote management.
Right.
So what it allows you as an administrator is that you can actually start to see where these devices are being used.
Right.
And you can start to centrally manage the devices. Yeah. So you can manage passwords, you can disable a device.
The GPS tracked, right?
Yeah,
so you can see exactly where everyone is logging in from.
You can geofence the device, so you can actually say that, for instance, if you go abroad outside of a certain geography, this device will not work.
Right.
So you as the administrator can say if somebody's somewhere where they shouldn't be, it might even be a location within a building. And you might go, if somebody is in this part of a building, I'm going to lock that drive down because I don't want somebody being able to use the device.
Right.
You can see where devices are. You can see which users are using them. And
this reminds me of a story. So you're telling me that if I have a project, I have data, and all three of us are working on it, and I give you two, I'll give you a module, right? And only you two can access the data. But the minute you leave my building where I work, you can no longer get access.
Correct.
So you can do that.
Correct. Absolutely.
Wow. So if Edward Snowden had a BT and he was leaving with U.S. military secrets to Russia, the minute he left the building, that encryption key no longer works.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
It works on a radius.
Right.
Yep.
You can also have put in place. You can decide if somebody is a distance away from the physical. So I've got it plugged into my laptop.
Yeah.
The app is on my phone. I walk 5 meters away.
Yeah.
It will lock the drive.
Right.
So you can set those standards. Yeah. So it just provides you with a really interesting dashboard to actually manage those devices. Yeah. You can change the PIN codes.
Yeah.
So it just provides you with a little bit more visibility than if you've just got standalone.
Do we have some already out there working? Do we have a use case that we can share, or is it too sensitive to share?
It's sensitive to share.
Right. Yeah. That's the problem with what we do, right? Sometimes it's because we work with people in high places and people where it's they're not happy with us mentioning that we work with them. It's just that like I said, I had a call recently about a certain video that we made, and they were not happy the fact that one of their guys disclosed that they're working with sensitive data. And that's a challenge for us, especially in terms of generating new leads, building market awareness. It's hard. It's a very difficult challenge for the marketing team, but nothing we can't handle. So, that's very interesting. The BT is one of the most interesting devices that we have. With remote management, again, with the fact that I can duplicate the module and I can manage it. Radius, like Bavash said, you leave this territory. And
the beauty about the device is you're authenticating it from your smartphone.
Right.
Yeah. So via fingerprint recognition, biometrics, facial recognition, or a 7 to 15 digit PIN on your mobile device.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's.
I think that's a great point, by the way.
Yeah.
Sorry, that whole thing about the biometrics.
Yeah.
You can you can put a PIN code in, or it gives you the option, obviously through your phone, of facial recognition biometrics. That just gives more options, perhaps. It's just another way, isn't it, of accessing the data. But as Bav says, everything that underpins it, though, is of the same that high level of encryption.
Yeah.
It's just that you've got a different, the pin. The pin pad has been moved. Into
a different way of access.
It's like we referred to the BT as pin authenticated. I don't think we should refer to the BT as pin authenticated anymore. I think it should be referred to as our smartphone authenticated device.
Yes.
Because all of the rest are pin keypad entries devices, whereas the BT, you're using your smartphone. So it's a smart solution that we're offering.
So let's say I want, I like the BT, I like what I hear, and I want it to be in action in my office this week. So how can you facilitate that for me?
Okay, so how would facilitate this is by asking the right questions. So I'd say to you, how many users do you have? Do you need the devices managed? Do you need the devices managed over a period of time? So 1 year, 3 year, 5 year?
Right.
And then look to build a solution for you. And how you would administrate that as well once you have the solution in front of you. So depending on how many years you want it for, is you would get the drives, you would administrate the drives onto your admin console, you'd hand the drives out, you'd give the user the details to download, like it will be the DataShur BT managed application.
Right.
Because if you're not having a managed app, it will just be the normal DataShur BT application that you authenticate from. Every user has their own different ID as well. The user can set up their biometric, by fingerprint recognition, a 7 to 15 digit PIN, or facial recognition to authenticate the drive as well. You can also set your admin PIN as well in the background.
So if I have 5 people, I'll have 1 admin and 4
users.
Users,
users as well. And as we were saying, that you can geofence those drives, time fence them as well, and then be able to remotely manage those drives as well. So you'll be able to see what kind of file types are coming on and off the drives.
Wow.
Okay. And also you can let's say if someone was uploading a video to the drive or JPEG, etc., if you don't want video content to be uploaded to the drive, you can disable that as well.
Wow, that is control right there. You have full control of what data is coming in and out of your project or your company. And even the fact, the radius factor about, you leave my company, you leave my premises, you can no longer use the data, my data, basically. That is a powerful solution. No wonder a lot of, like we said, a lot of, our customers do not want us to speak about this because this is sensitive.
And I think, again, it gives IT professionals what they want. Security professionals is control,
100%.
visibility and control. And with people working from home as well, again, you can specify home locations and say, okay, you can access it in your home, but not maybe other locations. So really interesting technology, and one that I think speaks to particularly to the IT managers.
And I think we will see this being used a lot because of its practicality, because of how important it is. Just just hearing, just as a person who's not even at that level of having sensitive data, that's the first thing I would go to if I had a project and it's sensitive.
I think also, sorry, Sammy, I think also it allows you to implement very quickly. That's another, for me, an interesting thing is that if you have to make, if you make a decision as a business, we are not going to allow unencrypted devices. Some businesses we know switch off USB ports. Some companies do have that corporate policy, which is they don't want anybody taking data outside of their, their ring-fenced kind of network. This is one of the more. This is a solution that allows for a bit more flexibility, but still gives you those endpoints that are locked. It gives you control, but it allows your end user to be able to use a device for whatever, a flash device for whatever reason, but it gives you still that control. So I think again, it's a compromise. A reality versus maybe a theory that nobody can have a flash drive. Well, if you're going to put that into place, this is for me a really credible option that goes to say, okay, we are now going to mandate the only devices that you can use now if you're going to have a flash device, the only device you can use is a DataShur BT, and you can implement it quickly.
Amazing. Now I want to move on to a kind of a similar solution, but I would say that this next solution that we're going to talk about is more of a global solution, right? Which is the CloudAshur that we have. Very interesting solution, very close to what the BT does, but why is it different? What's the difference between the BT and the CloudAshur?
CloudAshur, there's no other solution like that out there. Yeah. So what are we doing with the CloudAshur? We're explaining that we've got a solution that will encrypt your data that goes into the cloud. So your data at the minute that you put into the cloud, data center somewhere in Loughborough, your data is only encrypted at rest. Right. So therefore, if anyone was to hack into your cloud account using username, password, brute forcing, phishing attacks, etc., they can see that data. Whereas where the CloudAshur sits is when you're transferring your data to the cloud using the CloudAshur module and let's say the console as well, you're sending that data to the cloud encrypted. So if anyone was to hack into your cloud account, that data is all encrypted. And it's a 5-factor authentication as well. So number one, they'd have to steal your CloudAshur. Number two, they'd need to know your PIN within like 10 attempts. Then they would need to know your admin user PIN, username and password. Right. And then, still try and decrypt that data.
So there's no chance, basically, you're telling me.
There is no chance with using the CloudAshur solution that your data is vulnerable to any risk.
I mean, from my perspective, I think, and we see this a lot, that there is a healthy suspicion around cloud.
Right.
And I think that's just a general nature of the things that have happened in the market, things that have happened in terms of malware and data that's been corrupted, etc. People are naturally concerned about what the cloud is, where it is, who owns it, who's operating it, where is my data. Back to what Bav was saying. What our CloudAshur does, it takes really all of the benefit of what we've talked about in terms of an external encrypted, hardware encrypted, but allows you now to make sure that you take control. Again, what do we really do? We give people control of who can see your data. Right. And we do that through hardware encrypted external devices. But now with this cloud module, with the CloudAshur, we're saying you can encrypt your valuable data before it goes up to the cloud. So it's a kind of an insurance. It basically says that when it's in the cloud, whoever and wherever that is, your data is encrypted.
League of its own.
So now I've got control that if anybody, as Bav said, if there's a data breach within the cloud or something, who knows what might happen. I know that my data is secure in the sense that nobody else is going to get access to that information.
And I think like the most important thing here is you're in control of your own encryption key, because if you've got a cloud platform that you're using, who holds that encryption key? It's not you. It's the cloud service provider.
And you're trusting that is being done properly. It's been done to the same standard everywhere. There's a lot of trust. Let's be honest. That's what you are doing with cloud storage. You are trusting. You're sending it away, pressing a button, and it's happening in the background. And I would contend there's a heck of a lot of people out there who really don't know exactly. There are great. Don't get me wrong. Cloud storage is here, right? So we're not saying don't store to the cloud. This is actually saying, you know what? We're going to give you all the control and the peace of mind that we give you with our external devices to the cloud. So this is taking all that's great. The only thing that, of course, that it doesn't do, which is the advantage of having an external device, is there's no airlock or block between an external device and the cloud. The advantage. So to be honest, that's why we talk a lot about our devices working in parallel with the cloud.
Right.
Of course, back to the cloud. We know the cloud ain't going away, right? It's there and it's highly effective and it works and it's easy.
Yeah.
So why don't you actually have a combination of the two?
Yeah.
What goes up to the cloud, encrypt.
Yeah.
Keep a copy encrypted externally. With that gap between being accessible online. You've got a copy, hard drive copy that's kept separate. That's good practice.
Yeah.
So I as Bav said, you have to have the module.
Yeah.
But through we can talk about our ability to clone encryption.
So that was my next point, is that that's not all that the CloudAshur does.
So like, all of that, so all of that benefit we've talked about, that stands alone. That in itself, I think, would be interesting for a lot of people, because it ticks that box of where is my data going, and am I sure that someone can't access it? Well, now if you've encrypted it, job done.
You don't care. It's very powerful. Like just back to the point, because I want to put an image to this. It's kind of like putting your data in a kingdom somewhere in the cloud. But with DataShur, you put in it in the VIP.
CloudAshur.
With the CloudAshur, you put in it in the VIP section, in the castle, where no matter what hacking happens, they're not getting into the castle. They're not getting there. So
it enhances cloud storage.
Yes,
so it doesn't
absolutely
diminish cloud storage. No. That's great. All the reasons why you go to the cloud. It's easy. It happens. It's an easy transaction. This layers something else on top. But going back to the point we were making is the issue then is if you've got things on the cloud that you want other people through collaboration.
Right.
You're working on a project.
Yes.
You're part of a global team.
Yes.
But you're working on really sensitive stuff and it's gone to the cloud. So you might be we're storing something up on the cloud, but I want to encrypt it. But I'm the only one who's got the module, the encryption key. Therefore, I'm the only person who can access that stored information. Now, through our patented key writer software that iStorage sell, allows you to clone devices, which means that you can, I'm in London, you're in Los Angeles. We're working on a very sensitive project but we've got a shared central drive.
Right.
We've got the storage on the cloud.
Right.
Our project, but I've encrypted it in London. You're in Los Angeles. You now can't get access to that data. Now we can clone the CloudAshur module, and it means that you'll be able to access the data as well. But only you. Only you and only me. And we can determine that. And through the software we can.
Because you're sharing the same encryption key from module to module. So therefore, in real-time collaboration, as Marcus is saying, he uploads that file to the cloud. Real-time Los Angeles, you enter your 7 to 15-digit PIN into your CloudAshur, plug it in, log in, and in real time you decrypt that data, make changes, and you can send it back to Marcus.
Amazing.
And in most cases, you would never clone an encryption key because it remains with you as the individual. That's why you don't want other people who can decrypt in the same way. But of course, on the cloud, the whole thing about cloud is collaboration. And that's very much the modern way. Most companies want many people to be able to access data. So again, a really interesting technology that fits with the way many big organizations, particularly global,
the way they're working now.
And it's we're all working remotely. So again, it allows you, but again, it gives you control.
Yes. So let's speak about the admin factor of it. It is same thing with BT. It has an admin key that controls everything.
Remote management. You've got a dashboard that allows you to see what's happening.
And like our BT, again, you can geo-fence it, you can time fence it, you can remotely disable the device as well if the device is lost.
You can control everything.
It's
a James Bond movie.
It really is to say that.
Yeah, it really is. It's like you sit in there, you have a dashboard, you've seen all the activity, and you see any sort of dodgy behavior, you can terminate the module. If somebody leaves a certain radius, it does not work. So when you have an admin key, and let's say I have 10 out there cloned, and then I'm the admin, and then all these guys get access to the cloud. Do they have the same password on the same PIN code on the? So everybody has a different one.
Every user has their own independent PIN number.
Right.
Yep.
So talk me through it.
Alphanumeric.
Yeah, talk me through it, like we did with the BT. All right, I'm coming in. I have 10 individuals. I'm the 11th guy. I have a project. I have sensitive information.
Yep.
We're working on a movie. And it's let's say a big movie that's coming out, and if anyone gets a snippet of the ending or anything, $1 billion movie is gone.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I come to you for a solution. You pitch me the CloudAshur. I'm very happy.
Yeah.
Go.
When you come to us and say, right, you'd like a CloudAshur solution, and you want to clone, so you want to collaborate, so you want to clone the encryption key from the master to as many users as you want, we can do that in-house for you, or you can do that yourself as well on the console.
Right.
We'd also say to you, how many years would you like it managed for as well? 1 year, 3 year, or 5 year? And before we send out the device as well, we also offer to configure the pins for you as well. So if you want your own pins configured onto the devices, different pin numbers, we recommend. We can also do that in-house before we ship the devices out as well.
Amazing. And then that's it. And then everybody across the world has a CloudAshur module. I'm the admin. I'm sitting back, seeing all the activity. And then that's it. They're working. They're making changes, all of that, and they're communicating, and everything is safe regardless. No matter what happens, my data is within a VIP section somewhere in the cloud. No one, virtually impossible to hack. Very, very reliable, convenient solution. It's an incredible. That's the thing about just for us, just having this conversation is we don't know if there is any better solution out there. This is almost like the pinnacle of innovation when it comes to working with sensitive data. I mean, what else could you ask for?
And again, because you've got to have the module in your hand.
Yes.
That's that additional layer of, you don't have the module. It's in software. It isn't remote. You've got to have that module in order to do that. So there is that additional layer of kind of security. But I mean, we've talked about that in a corporate setting, which I think is entirely right. You can see immediately the value, the benefit for certain businesses. It won't be for everyone, but again, for certain organizations or certain teams, absolutely. But I can also see this being absolutely relevant for a consumer, who's storing to the cloud, or a consultant, or a small business where you're storing your data up to the cloud, up to some virtual space in the ether that you really have no idea is it going to be there. We've seen, there's been many examples of data centers that have burnt down. You hope there's redundancy in any system whereby there's replication of data, so that if something happens, your cloud provider has got your data backed up somewhere else on one of their other locations. Of course, I mean, a decent organization will do that. But who knows? So again, I think for certain consumers, and it's not expensive.
A lot of use cases. Even let's say your family, and then just amongst family members, the family records, the birth certificates, passport picture, whatever it is, you can access it through the CloudAshur. And small business
device, you don't have to store it. It's not all or nothing. You can choose files that you want to encrypt. It's not like, you plug it in and everything gets encrypted. You store things to an encrypted area. So it might be only certain files that you want to do. Others you're quite happy that it doesn't matter.
What happens if I lose my module?
Well, this is what we'd recommend, that you always buy 2 CloudAshur modules, and clone the encryption key from one to the other. Lock one away, And in case you do lose one, you still have a backup to get into your cloud platform.
I think this goes to the whole essence of serious encryption, serious security. These are not toys. No. I say that regularly when people go, "Oh, what's the backdoor entry? What's the secret code that will open this up when I've lost it?" And this is not to be, played with. But if you want to encrypt something, you want to secure it, then what's the point of having something that actually, it looks good, but it ain't secure. The whole point of this is it's serious. So there comes a responsibility. You can't hide that fact that, it's like saying, well, be the administrator and you can change passcode. Well, you still got to have an administrator key, a PIN code rather. So, if you're going to lose your codes or you're not going to remember your PIN codes, it doesn't matter whether you're an administrator or a user. If you fundamentally can't remember things, well, probably be careful. I think that's just a fact. But there are clearly ways you can mitigate. You can mitigate by having multiple copies encrypted. Which is again back to the whole essence of safe and secure cybersecurity. You don't have it all on one piece of media. That's why we say all the time, back it up to the cloud, but back it up onto an external device. We're not saying, only ever put it on an external device, because guess what? It gets stolen. Your external device gets stolen. Our point is that if somebody takes that, they can't get access to it.
The compliance factor.
But good practice says you should have it on more than one type of media. Because things can change.
Can go wrong.
It's there are. And I think that's a point that needs to be made regularly to people, that this isn't some toy. Just because it's encrypted doesn't mean you should leave it around and not take care of it, or leave it somewhere where your primary backup goes up in flames, and your it's been said for years and years, a lot of people back up an external device, and guess where they leave it? In the same room as their laptop, and you go, well, hang on, what if your house goes up in flames? I had it backed up. Well, where was it? Oh, it was next to the drive, next to my laptop or my PC. Well, that was clever. It's gone. So there requires some thought.
And level of care there.
A duty of care.
Did you want to add something?
No. I was going to say this brings us nicely onto the Japanese.
Yes, there you go. So this does bring us nicely to our Japanese story that we wanted to mention, but we have to be honest about it and careful about it, because there is, we can easily start a conspiracy here, but we don't want to. No. So, Bavash, what happened? Give us a little, rundown of what the story.
Marcus, you go for it.
Yeah, go on, Marcus.
I think we've all read the article. Where an employee of I think a town outside Osaka. This guy, I don't quite know whether they said exactly what his job was, but he basically had a USB flash device, which he had on it all of the information of everybody in the town. We're talking nearly 500,000 data records. And for some reason, it wasn't said in the article, this guy's gone out and he's had a few drinks. He's on the way home. And he's enjoyed himself. He's gone to a restaurant and he's ended up passing out in the street. So I mean, he's had one too many, or whatever, and he's ended up passing out, and he's lost this device somewhere in that episode. He's lost the USB device with 500,000 records. Clearly a major data breach. So I mean, that had to be declared. That's the issue. If you lose something like that, you have to declare that. Because there is a potential risk. That was reported in the press. The punchline to it was, thank goodness for this guy that his drive was encrypted.
Right.
So hopefully, if it's encrypted on the right level of device with the right level of encryption, if it, let's hope it was an iStorage device.
Let's hope so.
But basically, interestingly though, what I saw reported in the press was a quote to say, we're confident that there hasn't been a data breach because we've not seen any evidence of anybody trying to use this data or access this data, which makes me
Yeah,
rather, it's an interesting question, because if it was encrypted onto a device with the right level of encryption, a FIPS accredited or something equivalent, then you wouldn't have that question. So it makes me wonder, was it was encrypted, but to what level was it encrypted? But anyway, the point being that if you are going to go walking around with lots of data, and again proves the fact that guess what, for some reason he was carrying that USB device around.
The amount of data as well.
But again, the reality is you can put a heck of a lot of information on a USB device, and there's a lot of people out there who are transferring, taking it home. Maybe he was doing work on it. Maybe he was doing deduping. Who knows what the guy was meant to be doing with this information? But the fact that it was it was on an encrypted device, thankfully. But there's a lot of people out there who are not using encrypted devices, and he, it happens, right? Hopefully.
Well, lucky for him. No, that's number one. But back to your point. It's true. If you're very confident at the level of encryption, the next thought that you would have is like, oh, where do I have my backup? Let me go get the backup and maybe clone it again, so just in case.
Absolutely. I mean, this again, it doesn't change the fact that somebody has stolen his device, so his data's gone. If that was your only copy, you would be in real trouble, because the fact it's encrypted. Okay, you can sleep. As I said on one of my LinkedIn posts, our devices allow you to sleep well at night. Either when you're on the street, having left a restaurant, or hopefully in your bed. Either place, we're going to do that. But ultimately, it still doesn't change the fact he's had it stolen.
Absolutely,
but it means he's probably kept his job. And
he's back to business. Hopefully, if he has it backed up, like you said. And then maybe do another backup to another one and just keep it somewhere. I hope it's an iStorage device. Because if it is, then he's okay.
Absolutely.
This is a message to Japan. This is a message to Japan, to that town.
Japanese pod.
Please. If it is an iStorage device, please disclose it. And so we can confirm to you that your data, whatever you lost, is safe and no one's going to get to it. Just we hope that you take our advice in terms of backing up into multiple devices.
And I think we should replace the drive, and we should all go to Japan and go out for a night with this guy, because it sounds like this guy has a hell of a good time when he goes out.
Absolutely. Wow. I mean, that's a hell of a story, and
it got enormous press.
It went
all around the world. I mean, lots and lots of people picked up on that story. And again, it highlights that whilst what we do doesn't always get a lot of press, when it happens, it was a big story. Everybody was commenting on that story, because it was there was an interesting element of, my goodness, thank God that wasn't me. But again, it highlights it happens.
But I believe that we'll be going to see more of this as well. I think we're going to see this literally on a weekly or every couple of weeks now. That
we have there are certain
It is, and it will happen a lot more. I mean, obviously, it's like everything in data storage and cybersecurity. You only hear about the stuff that gets disclosed. There will be plenty of people who have gone home and lost something, lost a device, and they don't tell anybody. They should go back to their businesses and go, hey, I've got to fess up. My car's been broken into, my house. I lost my bag on the train. I've mislaid the drive, and you should declare that, because that has to be recorded. There will be, I am sure, plenty of people who just go, oops, that was a device. I won't tell anybody.
Absolutely.
So
there actually are many other stories, but we do not want to disclose them here. Obviously, you can read about them. It's just they're too sensitive for us to get into. Hopefully, at one point in our podcasting career, we'll be able to do that, where we have more trust from our listeners and our viewers, which we appreciate deeply. But that about wraps it up here for today's episode. I think we covered a lot today, which I appreciate. Even personally, I learned a lot. So thank you, gentlemen, for sharing all of that information with me and with our viewers, especially the fact that how easy it is to work with iStorage. So thank you, Bhavesh, for that. That's about it. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you on next time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to us, and that's a wrap.